We are now just days away from draft day, and this time we answer the age-old question: best player available versus positions of need. Not one but two mock drafts on this edition of the Blitz.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Wentz gets rid of it over the middle. It's intercepted. Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons. Heaves it deep down the left side for Gallup. He's got it. Touchdown!
This is the dude. I mean, big, he's physically strong.
This kid's ability to make something out of nothing is special.
You don't get enough credit for his leadership. The cast wasn't as good, and there's always a cast of characters around there, and he's always the same person.
Physical tools off the charts. I mean, the guy's athletic, he can run.
Just having a chance of visiting him for about a half an hour down there, he checks all the boxes.
If he can remain durable in this league, he's a no-brainer from a skill standpoint.
A peek inside the Cowboys draft room here at the Star in Frisco. And yes, it is time for the 2023 National Football League Draft. This is the Blitz. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. I've been filling up my big green NFL draft scouting notebook for the last month. Kyle's been filling up his Google Doc or his laptop or whatever you compile it. He's been doing it for the last 12 months. And here we are. It's time. And we talk about best player available. We talk about positions of need for the Cowboys. Let's get right into it right off the top here, Kyle. What do the Cowboys do on offense when you got that glaring hole, in particular, say at left guard? Connor McGovern is left in free agency. What is going through the minds of the people in that draft room?
I think they need somebody up front offensively. That's the biggest thing right now for this Cowboys team, because there is a glaring need. If they are going to go out and get somebody in the first round that's not an offensive lineman, they're going to have to do so in the second, third, fourth rounds, using a premium pick to go and try and grab somebody. It could be a Steve Avila from TCU, who is a mauler. He may not be a first-round great, but in the second or the third round, he'd be a phenomenal pickup for this Cowboys team that wants to run the football. This is a team that needs to do one of two things this year. They need to establish the run game early and often. They can do so by maybe going and picking a Bijan Robinson. They can go and maybe help out Dak Prescott. That's the other way by helping this offense, is by helping your quarterback throw the football and go get somebody who is a multiverse weapon that you can use out of the backfield or as a tight end or as a wide receiver. But I think either way, you got to go with the offensive line early.
And when you look at the defense, the contract status of players going into their contract year, you can make a case for any position group, really, but linebacker stands out, and up front on the defensive line, too.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing right now is linebacker, but just because there isn't that big rotation of guys. You have Leighton Vander Esch back. You have a young nucleus that you can rely on. But if you were to use a premium pick, it would probably be edge rusher, because you don't know even what the future looks like for a DeMarcus Lawrence. Dante Fowler Jr. is on a one-year deal. You have multiple guys that you think can stay here and develop, like a Sam Williams out of Ole Miss last year. But now you go and get an edge rusher, maybe a Will McDonald's there from Iowa State. They love Will McDonald. You can go and make that pick, and that's a premium pick. But if you're looking at needs, it's got to be linebacker and defensive tackle in the front seven. If you're able to fill up your front seven, I think your defense is already talented enough to continue to move forward.
Coming up in a little bit, we're going to have not one but two mock drafts for you. But when we come back, maybe the Cowboys add this guy to the brotherhood that exists here at the Star in Frisco. Could it be a Cowboys brother joining the mix?
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is also brought to you by AT&T, official partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today. This segment is brought to you by AT&T.
Come out to the Star in Frisco for Dallas Cowboys Draft Weekend presented by Miller Lite. The party starts on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Enjoy draft coverage, player appearances, live performances, and more. On Friday, it's Draft Night Out with live music and games. And finish strong on Saturday, the Draft Day 5K presented by Baylor Scott and White Health. For more details, visit dallascowboys.com/draft. As we welcome you back to the Blitz, and let's check in with Haley Sutton, who takes a look at a draft prospect with a definite Cowboys connection.
Yeah, guys, that cornerback position is definitely a spot you want to keep your eye on going into this year's NFL draft. Of course, the Cowboys shored things up by trading for Stephon Gilmore earlier this offseason, but you can never have too much depth in your secondary because of look at what happened last season, right? The injuries just continued to pile up. And if you're looking for a guy who's going to fit right into this Cowboys locker room, look no further than Oregon State's Rajon Wright. He's been studying the Cowboys cornerback room for several years now, which is pretty easy to do when your big brother is on the team.
Rajon Wright has had quite the journey on the gridiron. Before he was a star corner at Oregon State University, he was fighting for a chance to go D1 on the popular Netflix documentary Last Chance U. He then made the move to Oregon State, where he finished with 2 interceptions and 9 defended passes. Now, his eye is on the NFL.
Just get around these coaches, position coaches and GMs, and just let them know what type of player I am, let them know I'm a football guy. Awesome special teams player, but most importantly, I excel really well in press man, and I have great ball skills. So.
But this isn't a journey he's had to face alone. For much of his football career, Rajon has had his big brother to look up to, someone Cowboys Nation should be familiar with.
He's helped me tremendously, with my game. I don't think he really had to tell me to go hard or anything, but just the minute things when it comes to like press coverage and things like that. He just got that inside look on things. He's been through this. He's seen basically the ins and outs of the NFL. So, I'll just learn and just pick up from him.
And in case you're wondering,
oh no, I've just always been better than him.
Things do get competitive with the Wright brothers.
He's 2 years older than me. We're real competitive. I talk to him every day on the phone, so I was just texting him before I got in here.
With draft weekend quickly approaching, Rajon would be remiss if he didn't think about what it would look like to play professional ball with Nishan. It'd be the final checkpoint of their playing careers.
It'll mean a lot. We played at junior college, high school, junior college, and college together. So, have the opportunity to play at the NFL. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so it means a lot.
What's the biggest piece of advice he gave to you coming into this week?
To enjoy it, to don't stress it, don't look too far ahead, and just enjoy the process.
Rajon Wright's competitive spirit would fit right in with a group of secondary players who are constantly pushing themselves both on and off the field. And it would be pretty cool to play with your older brother at the professional level, something that's not super common here in Dallas. In fact, the last time the Cowboys had a set of siblings on the roster together back in 2018 when Jalen and Rod Smith were both Dallas Cowboys.
All right, Haley, we appreciate it. And up next here on the Blitz, Kyle's already talked about the Cowboys' interest in Will McDonald. I wonder if Kyle will pick Will in his mock draft straight ahead.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
And the Blitz continues, and this is the segment we've all been waiting for. Well, at least we all have been waiting for. I'm not sure if you've been waiting for this or not, but we got not one mock draft this week. We got 2 mock drafts. We got Kyle's, we've got mine. And how about we take a look at what we think, or what Dane Brugler of The Athletic thinks is going to happen in the first round of this draft on Thursday. The players that the Cowboys might be interested in that have already been drafted. Bijan Robinson in the Dane Brugler mock draft. He went number 16 to Washington. Other names off the board prior to the Cowboys pick at number 26 include 3 wide receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, as well as Zay Flowers and Jordan Addison. A tight end has gone off the board in Dalton Kincaid. Cowboys are on the clock at number 26, and here's who we have available.
Yeah, this is where things get interesting, and you can send your complaints or compliments Compliments to Dane Brugler at theathletic.org. I don't even know if that's his email. But whatever it is, this is what the Cowboys have in his scenario with the first round. We can't be blamed for this because it's really not a great scenario. You do have your tight ends available. You have Michael Mayer there. You have Darnell Washington, even if you wanted to go with kind of a different look in terms of a tight end. I really like Quentin Johnston being there too. Local product, played his games down in Temple, and then, of course, a great career with TCU. One of the big names up here, look at Will McDonald here, still being available. The Cowboys, of course, have really had their eyes on him.
How about this guy right here, Drew Sanders, talking about a local product right there. You go linebacker, Drew Sanders. What do you think?
Ooh, that's interesting. You know what? I'm going to go with the tight end. I'm going to do the best player on my board. I love Drew Sanders. I like Will McDonald. But Michael Mayer is different. I think this is a guy who's going to come in and immediately make your team better. He works himself as a blocker. What does Mike McCarthy say all offseason long of what he wants to do? Run the football. He's the best all-around blocker. With Dalton Kincaid off the board, that's where things can get dicey, and Michael Mayer might be where they go with this pick. Again, I'm trying to be accurate here. This is a guy they've really had their eyes on from the early parts of this draft process. If he ends up being there, Dalton Kincaid is not. I think Michael Mayer is the pick, and he's automatically your tight end number one.
And so you're making picks like the Cowboys would make the
exactly,
pick, right? I want to make picks like I would make the pick. And I am in love with a guy who I would not describe as a tight end.
Okay.
I would describe, you got your Z wide receiver, your X wide receiver, your Y wide receiver. I've got the U receiver. He is the unicorn. He is Darnell Washington. Yes, he is my man out of Georgia. Wears the number 0. And yes, you can wear number 0 now in the National Football League. Darnell Washington, 6'6.5", 264 pounds. What I love about him when you're talking about blocking is those long arms. He's got 34.5-inch arms. And I think he will, and you talk about Michael Mayer and his blocking ability. I think Darnell Washington's right up there with him, and I like the potential of Washington down the road. I don't think that they're making this decision and down the walkway here at the Star, but this is the guy that I have fallen in love with. Maybe you can trade back. Pick up an extra draft pick and be able to take him even early in the second round.
No, I like the idea because you're wanting to get something different. You have some young developmental tight ends. You have Peyton Hendershot, you have Jake Ferguson, but for the most part, you want a guy that's going to come in and be different or start above those guys. And I think both Michael Mayer or Darnell Washington fit that mold.
All right, there you go. We've just gotten started on our 2 mock drafts. We didn't do anything about running back in the first round. Maybe we can do something about running back. Maybe TCU's Kendre Miller, as rounds 2 through 7 are straight ahead.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Just days away from the start of the NFL draft, and you have come to the right spot to get you ready for the draft. Bill Jones, Kyle Youmans, we've given you our first-round picks for the Cowboys, and now in this segment, it's rounds 2 through 7. And we both took tight ends in the first round. And let's start with Kyle's 2 through 7 picks in this draft. Start with Michael Mayer, number 1 overall.
And that's the thing is that they're 2 different types of tight ends. So you can have different flavors of your ice cream going into the draft, even within the same position, but you still have to fill some needs. Michael Mayer helps you run the football. You know what else helps you run the football? A good rotation behind Tony Pollard. Zach Charbonnet brings that, and he's a different changeup, a different beast than Tony Pollard is. Pollard is that foot in the ground, step and flash sort of player, the home run hitter, as we've seen the last couple of years. Zach Charbonnet can certainly hit for the home run too, but he's more of a guy that's going to be that tall runner, the powerful short yardage game, but he has that ability to break the big run too. He's kind of a Zeke Elliott replacement if you wanted to really throw that into the mix, but he's better and quicker than Zeke at the moment of what he did last year in the same kind of role. I think Zach Charbonnet could be a running back that not only is a great number 2, a great changeup right now that will get plenty of snaps behind Tony Pollard, but somebody that can grow into a number 1 role down the line in the NFL as well. Jalen Duncan then also helping you run the football. I went very offensive heavy with these first 3 picks. I didn't waste any time. We are going to make this thing work, right? Well, Jalen Duncan, this was a tough spot because the tackles and the guards really went in that second round, early third round, which is kind of where we can anticipate a big run of those talented top-end guys at that position will go. Jalen Duncan is still a really, really good player. Top 5, top 10 tackle in this draft, kind of in that 5 to 10 mark. If he's there at 90, he has guard tackle flex, which is something the Cowboys had valued before. You also turn around, you have a guy that had 4 years of college experience. He played at tackle the majority of his time, but he might translate better as a guard. I think that's somebody that you can rely on. And then we went with Tyler Lacey, finally got a defensive guy. The Cowboys have been connected with Lacey for quite some time now. I think he's going to be a day 3 pick. He may be in the 4th round, maybe in the 5th round, but I think he'll be a Cowboy. But I also think day 3, they got to go get a quarterback, right? Jerry Jones mentioned it. Go get you a guy that can develop, and Clayton Tune is that guy for me. I think the Houston quarterback shows what they're looking for: arm strength, leadership ability, moxie. Then you have some mobility in the pocket. You have the decision-making from a quarterback standpoint. I think Clayton Tune checks those boxes, and as a local product, they've had some private workouts with him through Dallas Day, went to Hebron High School. He might be one of those guys as well. And then they go with DJ Johnson late, and then Chad Ryland. I did talk about kickers, but I'm not going to go deep into that right now. We'll wait for a little bit.
Right, the Cowboys obviously do need a place kicker. A couple of local guys there, a guy from Saxe and Tyler Lacey and Hebron in Clayton Tune. All right. I shocked the world with my first-round pick, Darnell Washington, the tight end from Georgia. I'm going to shock the world again with my second-round pick, going a little higher than what a lot of people project in the 3rd round, but I just love Zach Harrison, who was a 5-star player coming out of high school at Ohio State. Did not have the production, mind you, at Ohio State that a lot of Buckeye fans would have liked to see him have. But you talk about a guy with the measurables and with the length. And I think Dan Quinn can coach this guy into a long-time starter in this league. Did I say Pro Bowl? You know, he's got length. And so maybe I'll reach out there and say he has the potential to be a Pro Bowl player with what he brings to the table. All right, so he's a guy that can play inside or outside on the pass rush. Kendre Miller, running back from TCU. Is he going to be there late in the 3rd round? We shall see. But Miller coming off a knee injury that kept him out of the national championship game. I really love him. Michael Wilson, wide receiver from Stanford. Here's a guy who has been injury-plagued in his career. However, he's got really good athleticism, and he is the right kind of guy. Very smart guy. I think he's got 2 degrees from Stanford. I took a quarterback as well. I was going to take Clayton Tune, and then I started looking at Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR from UCLA. I'm not sure, actually, even if he's going to be there in the 5th round, but he was available on my mock draft, the simulator, and so I took him.
Do it.
McClendon Curtis, who is from Chattanooga, who is a tackle in college,
that would be the best,
who will be a guard.
Best value out of this entire draft, because McClendon Curtis, he may be up there in 3rd or 4th round.
On Brugler's mock draft,
he's there. He's there. Take him.
So, and then a special teams linebacker in the 7th round for me.
Love it.
All right, that does it for our mock drafts 2023. All right, you took a kicker.
All right.
Kickers might be available for the Cowboys when we come back in a moment.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was also brought to you by AT&T, official partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Make your crypto play today.
Final couple of minutes of the Blitz here. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans, and on the heels of our mock drafts, I think we've established one thing. The Cowboys will not select a tight end in the 1st round of this draft, since we both picked 2 separate tight ends in the 1st round.
Will McDonald, congratulations on being a Dallas Cowboy.
Now, having said that, okay, Kyle picked a kicker in the 7th round of his mock draft. I will say this, they will acquire a kicker or 2. Okay. Maybe not in the draft, but somewhere along the line here in the next week or so.
And these are really the 2 guys, both Jake Moody from Michigan and Chad Ryland from Maryland, who was the selection in the 7th round of my mock draft. But these are the 2 guys expected throughout the league to be taken. Moody specifically, you see the numbers there, but in the Big Ten, you talk about crunch time kickers. He was 8 of 8 over his last 2 years in what they call crunch time 1 minute or less, and he had a 59-yarder in the college football playoff semifinal against TCU. I think this is that 59. No, that was a little bit shorter. But either way, Chad Ryland on the other side, if Jake Moody's not available, which he was not, he was taken in the 6th round of our mock draft simulation. But Chad Ryland from Maryland, 60% from 50-plus, 5 years throughout his career as a kicker. He has the experience, he has the leg, plus he has some consistency because he had 24 straight made field goals from 2021 to 2022, one of the longest streaks in the nation.
You know what? I don't care about 50-yarders. Can they make an extra point?
I think both of them can. Both of them very good. I think 98% was Jake Moody, and then it's something around 95 for Ryland throughout multiple years of collegiate action. So, yes, they can make that, and they've got the big leg to get it done, too.
All right, that does it for this edition of the Blitz. Enjoy the draft. We'll have all the coverage for you on DallasCowboys.com, and see you next week.